Hi, I'm Brian, and today we're going to talk about how to earn $1 million. Or, we're just going to read some Reddit. You decide. Alright, we'll go read some Reddit. Our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for sending a cease and desist letter to my daughter? I'm a 51-year-old female, and I found out that my daughter, 19, has a blog and a YouTube channel with around 2,000 subscribers. She mostly makes videos about going to her restaurant job and handling her young adult life. But she recently has been posting a lot of content in the mental health category. She's been talking about how she's estranged from both of her parents and how she hates my partner of 4 years, a 27-year-old male. I accept that she can have her opinions about my partner, I may have, but in one of her blogs and a subsequent video, she opened up about her high school years. In the content she posted, she claims that my boyfriend is bipolar and that he'd go through periods where he was very amicable and gregarious, and then others where he'd sleep in the guest room and close off the curtains in his rooms, and claims that he hid his mental health issues from the world. I called my daughter and confronted her on her publicly labeling of my boyfriend bipolar. Those claims are factually untrue. My boyfriend's therapist all unanimously determined that he was not bipolar. He just has an anxiety pattern of avoidance towards that anxiety due to bad childhood that he subsequently channels into a general state of sullenness. He also had to deal with fighting my daughter. Once his brother gave him the moniker, the Grim, and it caught on with my daughter, and she would call him his name the Grim, which exasperated his moods. The way her online presence portrayed him was like he was chemically imbalanced and off his meds, and that I was an enabler. I was not an enabler and simply appreciated that when things in his life were going smoothly, he was extremely creative, intelligent, focused, and funny. He was spontaneous and would try to do nice things for both of us and apologize for his anxiety. And while his sullen days were bad, he ultimately still always made the most responsible decision in everything he did. I told my daughter to take it down because she was basically defaming him, and she refused and said that she was trying to tell her story. I ended up having my lawyer send her a cease and desist letter regarding the slandering of my boyfriend's state of mental health. She called and asked who uses lawyers against her daughter and that she couldn't afford legal help. I just told her to take the content down. Am I the jerk for trying to protect my boyfriend's good name? Alright, so this one isn't actually a very straightforward one, I don't feel. In some ways, I think that you're right for trying to protect your boyfriend, and maybe it goes a little far for your daughter to say things like he's bipolar when he medically is not bipolar. And this is the trouble with armchair diagnosis. You can have a perception of someone and you might think that they're a certain way, but you don't know. And this is why it's best to leave these things up to the professional. You can speculate and you can say, well, I think he might be bipolar. But if she's actually claiming that he's bipolar, then I think that is wrong of her. Now, I also think it's wrong for you to send a cease and desist letter to your daughter, but also, I do understand where you're coming from here with wanting to protect your, boyfriend's image. I would consider this, though. I mean, her channel has 2,000 subscribers on it. It's not probably reaching very many people. It's not like your boyfriend's good name is being defamed on a huge platform or anything like that. And by pressuring your daughter like this, she may even just make another video talking about the drama that you're stirring up here, and then being like, look, see, I even got a cease and desist letter from them. So you may be not doing yourself any favors here by, confronting her about it like this. I think that you and your daughter seem to have a lot of communication issues, and this isn't going to help those. So anyhow, I think, again, you need to sit down with your daughter, try to talk to her and explain things from your point of view, and hopefully you two can come to a better place. And now, this seems like a really tough situation for your daughter when she was growing up. You have a 19-year-old daughter, and it sounds like your boyfriend, a 27-year-old male, he was around your daughter when she was 15, and you two have been together since he was 23, right? I can do math. I can add numbers. And the thing is that 23 to a 40, I just said I could do math, and now I can't do math. to a 47-year-old is not a very good. That's a bit of an age gap, and that's something probably going to be hard for your, at the time, 15-year-old daughter to deal with. I mean, she has this new man in her life. She's 15. He's acting extremely unstable. He's doing a lot of things that make her uncomfortable, it sounds like. And then, she's trying to talk about her experience here and trying to tell the world about how she was when she was growing up, or why she is the way she is when she was growing up, or, whatever her story is. And you are trying to prevent her from telling her story. And I think in a lot of ways, she probably has a valid and legitimate story to tell here. But maybe perhaps she's saying it in a bit of a way that I think is maybe not necessarily the most appropriate if she's giving these diagnoses out in public. So, yeah, I do think that you both are kind of a jerk in this situation. But I also don't think that you're doing yourself any favors here by challenging her, because it's just going to stir up more drama. So anyhow, take care and good luck. So you were a 47-year-old with a 15-year-old daughter when you started dating a 23-year-old. My goodness, how uncomfortable for her that you brought in somebody so close to her age, who is also moody, and his behavior is notorious enough to get him the nickname The Grim, and he fights with your kid? I'm having a hard time believing your daughter didn't have a problem with this, for many reasons, yet you never mentioned it in the post. In fact, you barely mentioned anything beyond your feelings on the matter. Your daughter has a right to vent, especially since I'm getting the impression that you wouldn't listen if she tried to talk to you about it. If she hasn't named the guy in the video, then she's not doing anything wrong. This post is disturbing, and I really feel for your daughter. It sounds like you are exposing her to an unhealthy situation because you are putting your needs ahead of hers. You're the jerk. Yeah, I think that's actually a lot of good points in there. Concerning, if he's unnamed, if people around them know her, then I could see how that would end up getting out there. But I think you're probably right. If she isn't naming him and she isn't, giving any information on him, then probably it's a little bit closer to an acceptable thing. All of this, it sounds like your choices put your daughter through some rough teen years. Also, upon watching these videos, it's so telling to me that your first reaction wasn't of concern for your clearly upset daughter describing what she went through in your home, but outrage that she called your boyfriend bipolar when he wasn't diagnosed as bipolar, though clearly has some significant mental health struggles that cast a shadow in your home. As I don't see you disputing your daughter's account of his behavior, it just is the term that is attributed to the cause. My guess is that this is the latest in a long series of stories where you put your partner first, you second, and your daughter nowhere on the list. You're the jerk. I think actually that brings up a lot of good points. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Opinionated About My Ex-Wife Burning Her Wedding Dress? I'm divorced with one kid. My ex and I split 3 years ago, and it was the best decision for both of us. We were only married for 2 years, no bad vibes, and we usually co-parent well with each other. Last Tuesday, I fetched our daughter from her mom's, and she kept talking about this fire. I figured that they had some kind of barbecue or something. Odd since it was a Tuesday, but that was none of my business. I went inside to grab some more of her things and to greet her mother in the backyard. While talking to her, I asked about our daughter and what she had said. She laughed and pointed at the grill, saying that it was a celebration, reminding me that our wedding anniversary was the previous day. When I looked at the grill, I noticed some half-burnt pieces of white material poking out. Curious me went to take a better look and saw the burnt remnants of her wedding dress amongst the ashes. I could not believe it. I asked why she did it, and she said it was because it wasn't like she was going to wear it ever again, and then she gave me a look. I said that was crazy, and she said I need to mind my own business because it was hers. I shrugged, and I said it was still crazy, and grabbed the bags to leave, and she told me to F off. Now to explain why I'm more than just a little bothered by this. Because first, this dress is an adjusted replica of my mother's wedding dress, and second, the process of getting it tailor-made specifically for my ex-wife in its entirety cost me, a 21-year-old, literally flushing both his savings and inheritance for it, about $7,000. So yes, I am not too pleased about it. Yes, it's hers, and she can do whatever she wants with it, but I surely can have opinions on that. She could have kept it in case our daughter wanted to wear it, or heck, even just give it away or sell it, but burning feels like a giant FU to me and what I did to pay for it, and I can't help but feel a certain way about it. I don't even know why she showed me. My sister thinks I'm a jerk though, since I had no business judging her actions and shouldn't be opinionated about it. So am I the jerk? I can understand the hurt here, OP. Because, it seems like you sacrificed a lot to get that dress, and it felt like a lot of your hard work being burnt up, I can imagine. Or that your inheritance that you could have used for other things being, destroyed. So I can understand the symbolism there and why it would upset you. With all that said, I feel like there's a lot missing here. I did read through the comments here, but OP basically had only one thing to say, and that was the wedding, that they divorced amicably. So there's not any kind of cheating or anything like that, apparently. So I honestly have no idea what's missing from the story, because it sure feels like something's missing here. So with that said, I think I would need more information to know kind of like, is there more information here? Is there anything missing here? So I'm going to guess that probably your ex-wife used this as a way to move on from a period of time in her life where she wants to move on from. So she burnt the wedding dress as a symbolism of moving forward and moving past, this time. And as for reusing the wedding dress, she may not even have wanted to do that because it might have reminded her of a failed marriage. And a lot of people take that to heart. A lot of people feel like failures in life when they have failed marriages. And that's certainly an understandable feeling. So this may have been a way for her basically to kind of separate herself from those feelings of disappointment, those feelings of, loss. And another thing that's kind of telling about this whole situation is that she gave you a look when she did it. I mean, she purposely showed you this. So I'm really honestly not sure. I mean, it seems like there's some information missing here, but if there isn't, then I guess that's my assessment here. I think you do have a right to feel a certain way about this, but probably your opinion should have stayed to yourself. I mean, we all have opinions, right? And like you said, and like your sister said, she owns the dress, and if she wants to burn it, she can burn it, but I do understand where you're coming from here and why you would feel upset. You're the jerk. It's a remnant of your old marriage that was unsuccessful. She likely wouldn't wear it again if she were to get married, and it's her property. This is certainly true, but the mom burned the dress in front of her child. In that case, she's definitely a jerk, though OP is also a jerk for being upset about the dress for the wrong reasons. Burning your wedding dress in front of your child is surely not good co-parenting. It makes the other partner look bad, which is the number one thing you're not supposed to do after a divorce. Thus, everyone's a jerk here. I want to be clear, the mom isn't a jerk for burning the dress, but burning in front of the kid. She easily could have done it when the kid was with OP. Yeah. I also think flaunting it at him was probably not necessarily the best call of judgment. Our final letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Grandma to Leave After She Had My Kids Disrupt Me Numerous Times with Reminders? I'm a 27-year-old female and I have been with my company for going on 3 years. Every year around this time, we have a mandatory refresher course for 4 days, and this year it happens to be all remote due to everything going on. My courses start at 6 a.m. and end at 2 p.m. Because my husband works days, and this is not my normal schedule, I'm usually on in evenings, I was stressed to the max, thinking that I wouldn't be capable of managing my time efficiently because I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. My grandmother offered to come and hang out at my house for those 4 days so that I wasn't so worried about watching my babies and doing this mandatory refresher. Now, for a bit of context, the bigwigs are the ones who run these refresher courses. We have already been pre-warned that any disruptions during this time would mean an automatic boot out of the meeting and you would have to pay a fee to re-enter at a later date. My gram knew all of this, as I made sure to give her the complete rundown, as well as getting absolutely everything prepared for her. Packed up lunches so she didn't have to cook, set up my son's Zoom meetings with school so she didn't have to, etc. All she had to do was keep them out of the room. I even offered to pay her. Well, day 1 was a complete bad show. My daughter kept running into the office saying, Grammy told me to remind you to take something out for dinner, or Grammy told me to remind you that it's trash day tomorrow. I calmly told her not to come back in. Day 2 was equally as frustrating. Again, the same thing. Constantly having my daughter remind me of things. Finally, I went on a break and told my gram to stop. She argued that these things were important to know and that if it weren't important, she wouldn't have sent my child in. Day 3 was going smooth up until the last hour, where she chased my daughter into my office and started tickling her while my daughter was screaming and laughing. I was booted from the meeting, so now I have to pay. I told my grandmother to get out immediately due to my own frustration over having to fork over $60 that I can't afford right now. She's now telling everyone that I'm ungrateful of the help that she offered and that it would have never happened again. She's now telling everyone that I'm ungrateful of the help that she offered me and that she would never do it again, as in she will never watch my children. I have people telling me that I'm dumb and that I went off for no reason. I'm also being called a B for refusing to pay her for what I offered her because now I need that money to retake my course. Am I the jerk? No, OP, I don't think that you're the jerk here. I think you were being pretty reasonable and you had a pretty reasonable reaction to a very frustrating situation. If anything, your grandmother should pay you $60 so you can retake this course. She added no value. In fact, she cost you money. And for her to expect that she was going to be paid after basically not performing her duties the way she claimed that she was going to, I think is complete and utter nonsense. I really feel bad for you because now you have to pay this $60 fee that you can't afford. And I imagine that things are going to be tight, so I'm really sorry. It's a little weird that your company has such a strict policy that you can't, have any interruptions at all. And I'm not really sure why they're doing that, other than maybe that they can earn a little extra money here. That's all it seems like to me. So I think that your company is being a little bit of a jerk for not being more understanding if you made it almost 3 days through a, refresher course and then they boot you out because of this interruption. So, yeah. But most of all, I think that your grandmother is the jerk in this situation. She knew what she was doing. She purposely was interrupting you. At least that's what this seems like. And she had enough judgment not to come into your office and start tickling your daughter while you were in an important meeting that she already knew was, could not be interrupted. So yeah, not the jerk. Your grandma disrupted you on purpose with things she absolutely knew could wait, and she sent your kids in to do it so you wouldn't get mad about it. You live in your home, you know which day trash day is, and how to make dinners without middle-of-the-day reminders. You are not the jerk, but I'm wondering if your grandma is the kind of person who doesn't take a woman's career seriously and thinks that you should be a stay-at-home mom, or if she just gets off on causing chaos. Either way, not having her babysit again sounds like you can't fire me because I quit. And OP replies, that would make sense. My grandmother has never worked a day in her life. In fact, she has outright refused even when my late grandfather was struggling tremendously with bills. After he passed, she was given all his assets, so now she doesn't understand the concept of working because, once again, everything is handed to her. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.